Star Wars 7x7 episode 2958. So last week we were starting to finally talk about the Cassian Andor trailer and things that we learned about various characters. We're going to pick up on that a bit here and talk about two characters from the trailers that we've learned a little bit more about since. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. So we're also going to be doing this in the spirit of a little bit of healthy speculation, not too crazy or anything like that. And just, in case we've never clarified this on the show, as far as the speculation goes, it's just fun, it's just wondering, this is something where you really kind of have to be careful with the whole notion of speculation because you don't want to get so wrapped up in an idea that when you see how things play out on screen, and if it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, that you're actually disappointed, right? So we gotta have a healthy dose of realism with our speculation and not necessarily get emotionally invested in the ideas. So one of the two folks we're going to talk about today is Adria Arjona. I hope I'm saying that right. And she is playing a character that seems to be named Bix Caleen. At least this is what I'm seeing online right now. And that is kind of interesting because there had been some speculation that she might perhaps be a sister to Cassian Andor, or she might be a love interest of Cassian Andor. This certainly seems to rule out the sister option unless there's a whole adoption situation that we don't necessarily know about. But certainly there are scenes in the trailer where it looks like they have a very close, intimate relationship of some kind. It could be comradely in the same way that we see that final scene in Rogue One where Cassian and Jyn are riding down the elevator on Scarif, and their faces are very close to each other. And you seem like you could expect something to happen there, but it doesn't, and I'm perfectly cool with that personally, as I've said on the show before. Could be a similar situation here with this one too. And from the scenes with her, it looks like we're kind of tying the planet Ferrix potentially to where she is and then where Cassian would have been at the time as well. So there's a village scene, but then we've also seen all the scrapyard work and whatnot, and so this may be where all the scrapyard workers are actually coming after their shifts and before they, go off to their shifts and so forth. But we see her dealing with two different types of police action, if you will. One of them has to do with those folks in sort of the mostly blue-ish uniforms that are running around that we talked previously about. Could they possibly corporate sector authority, or are they just local authority on Ferrix potentially? I mean, one of the two, probably more likely local authority. We still don't know where Ferrix is in the galaxy, but the corporate sector authority is a really small place, so it kind of seems unlikely. I'd say it's probably more local control than anything else. But then we see her in the custody of the Empire and being interrogated by Denise Gough as the Imperial Security Bureau agent, which she's the other person we're going to be talking about on today's episode, and delivering that line I have you in my net, are you a thief or a fish? Yeah, that one, right? And of course I'm paraphrasing the lines. Actually, you're in my net, are you a fish or are you a thief? Now that line is particularly interesting also because it raises questions about what Stellan Skarsgård's character Luthen is doing on Ferrix, right? And what he ends up doing with Cassian Andor while he's there. It suggests that whatever happens on Ferrix, something of significant value is stolen and the Empire comes to investigate the situation. And it's a big enough deal that it not only involves the Imperial Security Bureau, but also a significant Imperial presence arriving on the planet as well. And whatever this is also significant enough where the Imperial presence is causing the local populace to rise up. And I do think that the character of Maarva, who's played by Fiona Shaw, she is the woman that we see talking at the end of the teaser trailer. She's the one who says people are standing up and that's what a reckoning sounds like. That certainly seems to be a Ferrix specific location presence kind of thing as well. So maybe it's resistance to control on that planet that's getting out of hand and bringing the Empire down on it, and it's going to boil over even further. Hard to say for sure, obviously, and we don't get much of Fiona Shaw in these trailers at all. We get that one line in the first one, and then we get another image of her in the second trailer, and it's just a tear falling down from her eye, and that's it. So that suggests, of course, an emotional investment in the things that are happening. And then there's Dedra Meero, who is played by Denise Gough. Hopefully got that pronunciation right too, fingers crossed. Anyway, so the material that has been put out there suggests she's a quote-unquote supervisor in the Imperial Security Bureau, which is an unusual title. It's not necessarily a rank that has been appearing in other Star Wars material in relation to this Imperial Security Bureau or any officers in the Empire. But there are multiple divisions of the Imperial Security Bureau, and not all of them are necessarily directly military focused, so I suppose it's possible. One section of the Imperial Security Bureau of note is the investigation section, which it would certainly line up with the activity that we see her character performing in the trailers. And that's also notable because there's another character that we've met before who has appeared in the investigation section of the Imperial Security Bureau, and that is Agent Kallus, who we met in Star Wars Rebels. There's also a section that deals with advanced weapons research, which is where Director Krennic was, so that's also kind of interesting in its way. Then there's interrogations and enforcement, internal affairs, special operations, surveillance, and re-education. I have a feeling it's probably none of those four as far as where her character is working within the Imperial Security Bureau. It really feels more like investigations or interrogations more than anything else. And based on the trailer so far, she seems to be the highest ranking antagonist in the material that we've been shown. And that's what I've got for you about these three characters, about Bix and Maarva and Dedra? Not sure yet. Gotta wait for her to pronounce her own name, right? That's how it works. And that right there is going to do it for this episode of the show. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.